Hello and welcome back to the Villa View for another match preview. This time we've got Blackburn at home, Villa Park beckons. It's been the international break and quite frankly I'm looking forward to getting back to Villa Park. It makes a change.
Yeah, it's been a good international break though. They're usually boring, but I think England have been pretty good and some Villa players have done some special stuff, namely Conor Hourihane. That free kick, was it yesterday, last night? Pretty special, but yeah, looking forward to getting the league back on show because we've got something to play for. Which is big.
We were talking a few weeks ago and we've mentioned it a few times that these previews were pretty much almost feeling like dead and buried, that nothing really to play for, we'll just see what happens. But you now come back to it and Villa sitting 6th. We've been there for a couple of weeks just because others haven't played, but things are looking on the up for Villa at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with how things have turned around. I think the only Villa stat that we kind of got is how bad it was a month ago. Right, Experiment of 361 have this kind of predictor, thinking how much percent chance you got where you finish. So Leeds United have always been, you got a high percent chance of finishing top 2. Villa 17th of February, 2% chance of finishing in a playoff position, and now that's a 42% chance. So we've really kicked on.
That's like in the space of 6 weeks.
That's mad. That's crazy. So that just shows you how much this team have improved, and a lot of it, is down to Jack Grealish, but also you got players like John McGinn and Tyrone Mings really stepping up and carrying this team when they need. So really positive about Villa, and I cannot wait for this match.
They're recording this on Wednesday, so obviously by the time this video comes out, things might have changed. Injuries and stuff, players probably haven't even reported back from international duty yet. Obviously Conor Hourihane and Glenn Whelan played for Ireland last night, so some of the info might change. But how are you feeling about this game generally? Obviously, optimistic to get back to Villa Park, but the actual game itself, what are you expecting out of this one?
To be honest, I'm expecting a win, and that's not because Blackburn are poor. They are poor. Well, it's not like I think we should run them over, but there's always the potential for a slip up. But I really think if this Villa team want to get promoted, they're going to win this game. It'll be a perfect test of them. Come back from the international break, you left on a high against Middlesbrough. Was that our last game, Middlesbrough?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we won that one in some really easily. It was a walk in the park. I'm expecting a bit of a test against Blackburn, but I still think we just got so much quality, and the players who turn up, they want this promotion. So you can see it, they want this promotion. They want it bad.
Do you think there's any possibility that the international break has potentially stalled any momentum that we'd picked up?
There's always that argument, but I think it has been a good rest. I'm more concerned for players like John McGinn though, because he had a bad international break. By all accounts, he doesn't perform at the same level for Scotland as he does for Villa, but that applies to so many of their players. Villa target Scott McKenna is always getting in and getting a bit of stick. Some players aren't performing as well as they do for Villa out there in their international teams, but then you get players like Conor Hourihane who come off, what a high he's going to come off now. True. Back to that, and then players getting rest and having spent some time at Villa, spend some time with their family, having fun, and just knuckling down for what's ahead. Jack Grealish, Mings, Courtney House, they've all had that to look forward to. So it's a good time to gather and reflect and have a rest. I don't think it stops our momentum because it's not like a month off, it's like 2 weeks at max. So I think we've got a lot to take forward, a lot of positives, and I think it's a well-earned rest for some of our players.
We'll come on to some questions later in the programme. What is this? Match of the day, I know, So we'll come on to some questions later in the video that I'm going to use to sort of structure the rest of the conversation. But before we get on to that, I've seen your notes, we're looking at them right now. You've done some research. Talk to me a little bit about Blackburn and give me some stats.
The one thing that really stood out for me with Blackburn, and it's a mad one, is that Charlie Mulgrew, who I think is a centre-back, is one of their top scorers. So that strikes to me as pure Martin Larsson, that does. Always on the end of the set piece, and I think that is direct free kicks looking to swing one in. And Bradley Dack stands out to me as not just a really good player, but if Villa are to lose Jack Grealish, one of many potential replacements, because you look Callum O'Hare, Nick Powell, you also want Bradley Dack in that conversation. It's a massive line of people.
Doing this in front of a live audience.
It's a massive queue of people. Bradley Dack stands out for me as someone who's pretty damn talented. Danny Graham, big man up front, holding up. But apart from that, there's not a lot going on there. It's almost like the lights are out at the end of the season. It's a bit hectic at the bottom of the table where Blackburn are heading now. Birmingham, of course, dropping a few points.
Flies.
Birmingham dropping a few points, so it's getting a bit, 9 points they've dropped. So it's getting a bit hectic down there. You've got Rotherham kicking on. Ipswich are somehow not losing many games. They're done, but it's still. They're going to
play teams that might affect other positions.
No team has given up. Bolton look pretty dead, but that's off the pitch stuff. So there's still one relegation spot up for grabs, and there's a lot of teams heading downwards. I think Blackburn, they've got enough points to keep them safe, but they're going to have one eye behind them rather than one eye in front, looking at those playoff places. It's a bit dead, and honestly, not much to play for. We say nothing to play for, but relatively speaking, this team spent a fair bit of money in League One last season. So, do they want to finish as high as possible? I think so. Do they definitely want to finish above Wigan? 100%, because Wigan obviously beat them to the title last season. They want to finish as high as they can, and they're going to have one eye behind them because of the teams that have dropped, and they've won one game in 9, and that was against Wigan. So they've got a pretty tough schedule from here on out. They've got Derby, Forest, Bolton's probably, if you wanted to be really negative about Blackburn, you could say the only win they pick up in their next game is Bolton. Next 9 games or so is Bolton. And
football doesn't work like that, does it? They could easily come to Villa Park and put on a major show and really upset the odds.
But that's what I'm saying. Maybe they do have something to play for. They've got pride to play for, and they've got to vindicate the money they spent last season. And in terms of their finish this season in the Championship, they want to finish as high as possible to say, look, we spent that money for good reason. If they continue dropping, what has that proved? They spent a record amount. They made a record loss in League One, and if they had to finish one place above the relegation zones, if they had to completely tank now, it'd be pretty poor. It'd be upsetting, for fans and owners especially, because they lost a lot of money, brought in some good players to finish that low. It'd be embarrassing. Imagine if Rotherham were to jump out of the relegation zone having spent nothing and finish above Blackburn. It'd be embarrassing.
The thing is, obviously we can sit here and say they've got nothing to play for, but 6 weeks ago we were saying the same about us, and look where we find ourselves now. So it could be one of those things that I don't think they're going to, that they will end up either in the bottom 3 or the top 6, but like you say, play for pride, keep playing, play for the fans, and do as best you can. And financially the league standings do matter, and I mean no team I would imagine is going to sort of sit down and roll over and not do anything because we're not going down, so we'll just sort of give up. Football doesn't work like that.
I mean, you got players, again, we go to Bradley Dack, who want to show off, who want to look good in this league. I've got something to prove. He's 25 now. I think he's just a tiny bit younger than me.
Recently, happy birthday.
He looks a lot older. He does look a lot older than me, I will say that.
So this is a question from Matt Collins. He says, if Abraham is out, who plays? Because obviously Abraham withdrew from the under-21 squad for England. Personally, I'll go for Davis, as he's much more suited to the way we play. A case for starting Codger wide ahead of Green to ensure that we still have a sufficient goal threat. Is that something that you potentially see if Abraham is ruled out? Obviously, at this stage, we don't know whether that is true or not.
Well, Codger and Davis come on against Middlesbrough, so there is the case that either or will play in the team. I don't think Abraham will be out, but the question is if, right? So, honestly, I think Keenan Davis, because as much as I like Jonathan Codger, he's probably up for the chop at the end of the season, just age things. And Keenan Davis is one who's clearly going to be here, hopefully barring any injuries. So I think if we're looking at with one eye on next season, Dean Smith said you're keeping one eye, we're looking at the Premier League and the Championship. We would have to start Keenan Davis, in my opinion, Keenan Davis, because he's not bad. It's not like a massive downgrade, is it? It's not like you're falling off a cliff, is it?
He's not as good as goal scorer as Tammy Abraham obviously is, but like Matt said, I think it was Matt, he's most suited to the way that we already play, that he's a big tall guy basically, and that he'll run with the ball and hold it up and stuff, whereas Codger has never really done it as a lone forward. But do you play him out wide over Green? I don't know. I prefer Green to just keep playing, to be honest. I think he deserves a run of games rather than sticking Codger in case Davis isn't prolific enough.
We get something different with Keenan Davis because he's good on the ball. He's a good dribbler. He can lay the ball off. He'll sit deeper, and maybe he'll be better at that than Tammy. We don't really know, because we haven't seen Davis in a long time, so it'd be hard to judge him off last season and even 2 seasons ago, because he showed quality there. But it's a pretty hard question, to be honest. We've only got 2 choices. But I'm finding it really hard to pick between them.
There's another question that I think is an easier question. This is from Mr. Fraz. Good name. Do we drop Taylor and start Twanzebe and move House straight over to right back, or keep it how it has been last few games and start Axel on the bench?
Start Axel on the bench. Big injury. His quality, a lot of people forget how quality is, but I think you start him on the bench because we've been playing. You got to play that hot hand, you got to play the best players who have been playing well, and that's House and Wings. But
Grealish has been out for a long time, Devil's Advocate, and he came straight back into the side as captain. So is it a case to say, just because he's been out for a long time, he's a quality player, bring him straight back in?
But we were clearly struggling without him. That's the difference, is that there was an open vacancy for Jack Grealish where the doors are kind of closed now. It's a shame because you have these conversations. Twanzebe and Chester are probably among the 2 best Championship centre-backs in the league. of course. So it's tough. And to be honest, if I was James Chester and even Axel, it'd be like, how do you even? You'd have to wait for Villa to do bad, and you don't want Villa to do bad. So it's a hard question. But there's also the option of a back three, because I don't want to go on at length on the one question, right? But we have played a back three. It's a situational back three, because you see Horahan and Whelan drop in, don't you? So maybe you lock that into the formation instead and play a back three. I don't know.
I think the question words it wrong that they've put Tuanzebe to right back over Elmer. I think it'd be Hawes to left back and Axel in with Mings.
Yeah, because Mings is left-footed.
Is that a better option, instead of putting Tuanzebe to right back and keeping the defence the same? Tuanzebe into the centre and House to left back, Elmer at right back.
Yeah, but I think that's the right way to look at it, and we'll definitely look at Tuanzebe moving to full back when James Chester's fit and ready, I think.
Okay. So what would if it was, when we're going off on one,
track this one out.
No, I'm just thinking, like, so say if every defender is fit, what would your back four be then, or back five?
Honestly, and I don't care how it affects the rest of the team, I'm just focusing on this back five, right? I don't care about midfield or striking. House left back, Chester in the centre, Mings on the left, Tuanzebe on the right, and Almo on full back. So you got back three. Yeah.
With wing backs of Hawes and Elmo.
Wing backs of Hawes and Elmo.
Could Hawes play wing back?
I don't care. I used to go in there.
This question's from Dizzy Easy. Another good name.
Solid one.
Nice easy question. Who do you think will be the midfield three? Was that not an easy question?
It is. It's easy, but like, I don't want to leave Glenn Whelan out, because you have this attachment to him now, don't you? Because of the story, how he was poor last season, and now he's all right, and now everyone loves him. But he's going to lose out, because Conor Horan just looked so good in the international break. Even in the match when he wasn't banging in a free kick, he looked all right.
Glenn Whelan played, I don't know how long he played last night.
Yeah, but he's all right.
He played, he's played midweek and then again potentially Saturday. So is he a logical option to drop because he's the older player? He's just played midweek. Conor Horan obviously missed the last game as well because of having a little one. Does he come straight back in, and that's the midfield three? Grealish, Horan and McGinn. Forgot the other one then.
Yeah, Grealish, Horan and McGinn. McGinn's a tough one, because there's a lot of talk about people saying, no, he's not a tough one. He's not a tough one at all. But people are saying, because he had a bad international break, does that affect his momentum? I don't think so. I think you put him in, and if he is bad, you take him off. It's that simple. And I don't think he will be bad, because he's John McGinn. So
we've covered all the questions that I wanted to, bar one. Sort of in our general chat at the beginning, people have asked sort of things like, who would you play up top, and we've already covered stuff like that. The final question, which is more sort of playoffs related. Christopher Franklin says, how many points do you think are needed to make top six this season? Traditionally 75 is the benchmark for sixth, but it's looking like less will probably be needed this year.
Yeah, I think less will be needed, but that's just because of how stodgy it's going to get up here. I think Middlesbrough,
because it's so competitive.
Yeah, and Middlesbrough are really going to be fighting tooth and nail to hold on now, because they've been, they were really showed up by Villa. I don't want to upset them, but for who they are, really, they come and they didn't want to win. And I think if you're top six, you don't care who you verse. You're going to go for the win every time. They didn't come for the win at all, and it really showed. So I think if you're Bristol City, you're licking your lips and going for them, and taking down anyone in front of you to get that spot. Because I think Villa can hold on to it, and you've got to worry if you're Middlesbrough. West Brom, I think, are fourth. Yeah, of course they're fourth. I don't see them kind of dropping out. If they're going to drop, they're going to drop to fifth. Yeah, they're not going out. But there's still, I would say, if we're Villa fans, we're locking Villa in, right, and not caring about the rest. But if there's still one place up for grabs, there's definitely one place up for grabs. So there's definitely points dropping all over the place. It is going to be harder. I think 75 might. You want to aim. I think if you're Villa players, you want to aim for top two. You're not probably going to get it, right? No. It's going to be really, really difficult. It's you're talking minuscule chance.
Top two is between three teams, I think.
Yeah,
and Villa
Villa are not in that question, but you want to make a case for yourself to take advantage of the opportunity if it's there. Otherwise it's hopeless. You may as well just DOS for the rest of the season and hope you get sixth. If you're Villa players, you want to be aiming for that top two just in case. It's not happening, but if it happens, and things do happen in football, you want to be knocking on that door. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think 75 points will be enough, but I wouldn't want Villa to stop. I want to absolutely carry on.
I think to sit here and sort of talk about top two when we've only just made it in top six is going to make you look silly, because I'm not saying that. I'm not
talking about top two. I'm saying, would you prefer Villa players to settle now or kick on?
I know what you mean, because it should just
There's someone in the comments going, top two, we're not making it. I've just said we're not making it.
It should be that we want to win as many games as we can and then just see what happens, because you talk about if we're in 6th and Bristol have still got games in hand, but we're the ones with the points on the board. Just because they've got a game in hand, they've got to win it, and they're under pressure now that we're the ones who are saying 6th. And just because if Bristol do make it, like you said, that doesn't mean necessarily that we'll drop out. Middlesbrough could drop out. They're the team that are out of form in that top 6. So it could be a case that if Bristol make it, that could be at the expense of Middlesbrough and not Villa currently, because we're the ones in 6th. But it is early doors to get carried away, because we've been in there for one game. We're there going, oh yeah, we're going to make it. But obviously, as to sit here as a Villa channel and Villa fans, we want to go, yeah, of course we're going to make it. We've got some very winnable games for the rest of the season. I think we've got obviously Blackburn, Rotherham have we got still as well.
Sheffield
Wednesdays.
Massively.
It's not going to be easy, Sheffield Wednesday, because of the Bruce factor and stuff.
Narrative.
But then you've got teams like Norwich and Leeds last 2 games of the season as well, and if they finished us top 2 by then, and that's already sorted. Again, that's another factor of because you're looking at somebody like Ipswich at the moment and going, oh, they're down, but they've taken some points off people recently. I think Bristol are now being dropped points to Ipswich, and that was a team that you'd be going, oh yeah, Ipswich will batter them. That's 3 points guaranteed, and it doesn't work like that. In the other sense, that if Norwich have won the league by the time they come and play us, we might beat them, and that's 3 points that you traditionally wouldn't expect us to get, because it's Norwich and they're so good. So there's lots of things can change and happen yet, and hopefully we do enough to stay that Villa end up in the top 6.
I think what we should be thinking about is, regardless of what the outcome of this season, if Villa finished 7th, so be it. Last month we had nothing to play for, and this month we've made a massive shout for the playoffs, a massive shout. And I mean, we should not be thinking about the top 2. We shouldn't be going, if Villa don't get automatically promoted, that's a massive disappointment. We're in the conversation now where we're looking at not 6th but 5th. And then, in a month's time we might be looking at 4th. Who knows? But right now, let's not get carried away. Let's support Villa, because I think they've made a massive improvement. I think that is something to shout and scream about, the fact that we've kind of turned the tables on the chances, the betting odds, everything. We've made a case for ourselves again, and that's the most important thing, that we've made the case for ourselves.
What do you mean you've done a match preview and you haven't done predictions? What is this amateur hour? I know you're with James Rushton and he's not a professional, but mate, that's the basics. You've got to get a match prediction done. Alright, I'll do it now. Looking forward to the game on Saturday, as ever, when we're on good form. Obviously you look forward to going to Villa Park more when you're doing well. I think the international break probably did come at a good time in some ways, because I think it allowed people like Grealish to rest up, but in some ways as well, when you're on a good run, the last thing you need is 2 weeks off playing together. But as it's a home game, and generally we've been good at home this season, I'm pretty confident. I think Blackburn will be a tough task. I think in their first season back in the Championship, I think Tony Mowbray's done a really, really good job there, and they'll be disappointed that they've fallen away a little bit, because they were in contention for the top 6 at one stage. Paddy Dack's a good player, and Graham up front as well is a good player at this level, and they've done well this season, as I say, but I think we'll be too strong for them on Saturday. Selection wise, I think Horahan will come back in after missing the last game. Obviously he'll be buzzing, he scored for Ireland in the week, and I think on their day, that midfield 3 of Horahan, McGinn and Grealish, I think that will be too much for Blackburn. I don't think we'll romp it. I fancied us to beat Middlesbrough well, and we did, but Blackburn I think will be a tighter game, perhaps even see us go behind or at level for long stages of the game, but I think we'll come out on top, winning 2-1. I'm going to go with goals from Tammy Abraham and from the hero that is Tyrone Mings, with Bradley Dack scoring for Blackburn. Fingers crossed we can keep this good run going, because we are unplayable at times at the moment, and obviously the games are running out. We need to keep winning to make sure we guarantee ourselves top 6. Personally, I think if we shoot for 5th and we end up with 6th, that's a really, really good outcome for us. But in our hands now, we're in the top 6 as it stands. We've got the results that are needed to get us there thus far. Let's hope we can continue with it on Saturday up the Villa.
So James, thanks for joining me to speak about Blackburn. So I think this is the first place that we filmed a video together in for a preview earlier this season for Rotherham, was it?
Yeah. So you're actually filming in the city centre. I think there's certain clubs out there who don't think that we sit or speak or drink or talk in the city centre, but here we are outside Birmingham City University. This is the first place we did the preview, as you said. It's nicer weather today. It was sunny last time, but it was freezing. But this is pretty mild, pretty chilled out. So yeah, good to be here, and thanks for having me. We actually talked about the club as well.
A preview. We actually talked about the game, what is going on. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like on it, all that usual stuff that we ask for. Subscribe to the channel, etc, etc. You know the drill by now. A few things to plug. The podcast came out yesterday at the time of recording. That's now on Spotify as well, along with all the episodes that we've done so far. A couple of extra things to plug. We've got fan cams coming after Saturday's game. Dan and I will be there outside the Holt End. James, no need for you to come with me this time. So hopefully we'll be talking about 3 points for Aston Villa and 5 wins in a row. One more plug, Dan and I are recording a Q&A on the weekend. Me and Max did one for his channel a few weeks ago, and we thought we'd basically steal that idea and do one of our own as an extra piece of content. If you want to get involved in that Q&A, you can leave some questions in the comments box below. I'll read them all and pick the good ones, basically. Ask us about Villa, football, life, videos, I don't know, anything you want. Ask us anything, we don't care. We'll answer whatever you bring. Also keep an eye out on social media for that sort of stuff as well, if you don't want to get involved on YouTube, or if you listen to this on SoundCloud and iTunes and Spotify. This is on iTunes and Spotify as well, because it's a preview.
I was thinking of a question.
So this video will be audio only. So if you're on one of those platforms, you can go over to our Twitter and get involved there and stuff as well. Lots of plugs, lots of things to do. This outro's probably been longer than the main video, but yeah. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the game if you go on Saturday, and up the Villa.
Yeah, up the Villa.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.